Thank you very much indeed for joining us this afternoon. I hope you're going to find it a useful session. As there's only two of you, interacting with the polls and answering the questions should be no problem at all for us. And if you have any questions of your own, I think you can always put them in the chat box, and you can stop me and ask anything that you would like to. So we're going to be looking at successful leadership of English today, and these are the objectives of the course. We're going to look at issues surrounding the role of middle leadership and management, looking at behaviour management of staff, really, and team building, strategic management of a department or faculty, looking at how that feeds into short and medium term planning, and also thinking about some of the requirements for inspection, preparation for that, and self-evaluation, although this is not by any means an Ofsted course, and we don't want it really to get hijacked by the Ofsted agenda. So we need to really think about when we become a middle leader or middle manager. Are we a leader or a manager, or what we think might be the difference between those? So are we a leader or a manager, or are we both those things? And what do we actually understand by those terms? So if Graham would run the first poll, I just really wanted us to be able to think about, do we think that leading a department is the same thing as managing it? And if the answer to that you think is no, then what might the differences be between the two? So just give you a few moments to think about that, and then when you've had time to think, to sort of type your answers. You should be able to see each other's answers, so we should be able to see what both of you think. I can't see anything happening. Is anybody responding to this? Do we have issues, or are you just thinking? Well, Marie's typing. Yeah, good. Thanks, Marie. I can see your answer. Is the second one, is that Marcus? No, leading the department is an overview role. Yes, okay. Managing, both of you seem to think that managing is more day-to-day, whereas leading is, I suppose, really, you're thinking more strategic, thinking about long-term objectives, and having an overview. And I think you're right. Managing, I think, can be to do with looking at the day-to-day issues, dealing with the sorts of bread and butter things, whereas leading a department, it gives much more of a feeling of having a sort of a vision and thinking about where a department or a faculty is going to move to, sort of short, medium and long term. So I think you're both right in that, and we'll be sort of thinking about what some of those issues will be. Okay, if we can take that poll down, Graham. And thank you very much for that. Okay then, so leading an English department, or any department, you've got certain things that you've actually got to do. You've got your strategic management, which may well be more to do with leadership. You've got to manage your human resources, all the teachers and teaching assistants and everybody else, and you'll have budgets to manage, and you'll have all the admin attached to it. And then on top of all of that, of course, you are still an English teacher, and there'll be all the duties that surround that, the marking, so that it's a bit like the picture, the juggling of the balls. And I know that it's sometimes easy to feel, or you can feel a bit overwhelmed, that you don't have enough time to do everything, particularly if you're sort of trying to squeeze everything in between a busy timetable. And yet you have to try and get some sort of balance, because you've got to do all of these things. And the strategic management or leadership of the department is really the key thing that is going to drive improvement. And yet it's often the thing that gets squeezed out. So one of the things, to do with your time management is to think about how and where you leave that time to do the really essential things about where you want to move the department to and how you're going to do it, and the resources that you need. You need to sort of leave time for that. And when we think about successful middle leaders, well, you are essential, absolutely essential to a school's success. A school is only as good as its teachers, and you have a senior leadership team who are there at the top to help to sort of principally drive things forward. But they are only going to be as good as their middle leaders, because you're the people who are there on the ground, in charge of each of those faculties. You're the ones that are going to put into action and oversee, if you like, the types of strategies that will feed into the school development plan and help the school to move forward as a whole. So you have a responsibility for your own department, but you also have a responsibility to feed into the overall school picture. And interestingly, in my improvement work in schools, where I see the middle leaders as the most effective, it's when they see themselves as a team in just the same way as SLT see themselves. So a senior leadership team sees itself as a team, has its regular meetings, works together. In the best schools, where it works to the school's real advantage, middle leaders see themselves in just the same way, and they have a strategic role as a team as well as a set of individuals. And I just wonder, whether that is the case in your schools. Do you see yourselves as part of a middle leadership team, or do you tend to work on the whole sort of more individually at the moment? It will depend on your school setup, and it could be that, if you're in a school that's in the middle of transforming leadership, that you will be moving towards a model where the middle leaders see themselves very much as a team rather than a bunch of individuals, and possibly just English and maths getting together to talk about results and that sort of thing. Because working as a team will help you to be the key drivers that you need to be in delivering improvements in teaching and learning. And those sorts of improvements are going to have an impact on pupils' progress and achievement. And I don't know the position that your departments are in, and how your exam results have been looking. It's a thorny issue, isn't it, for English departments nationwide, with the turmoil that there's been. Some departments have come out of it almost unscathed, and others have taken a real hit. Some took it in 2012, some have taken it in 2013, some have taken it in both years. And it's an area that I know is of huge concern. In the chat box, could you just, both of you, if you just want to just tell me what your last year's results were, and what percentage did you get A to C for English last year? A star to C, sorry. I can see you're both typing, that's wonderful. I can see Marcus says he's got 80% A to C, which sounds fantastic. Marie says we were a failing department, no leadership, and therefore results were very poor, 52%. So you're both at different stages. Are you both established leaders of your departments, or are you new? Where are you at in your English leadership careers? Oh, Marie, so you're quite new. It's your first leadership role since September. Oh, Marcus, this is my first year as seconding department, so I'm not even properly in charge yet. Oh well, we good seconding departments. Everybody needs one, and of course you should be thinking about, how you're going to move up and become a leader.